My name is Daniel Turner. I'm 52 years old now. For nearly 3 decades, I lived a life defined by structure. I was a financial analyst in Chicago, and my world was built on routine. Coffee at 6, commute by 7, home by 6. Every day unfolded like a perfectly rehearsed performance. I found comfort in that predictability, in the quiet rhythm of consistency. I told myself it was stability, a life well lived. And for a long time, it was enough. Or at least, I thought it was. Melissa, my wife, was 48 then. There was a gentle elegance about her. Never loud, never flashy, just quietly graceful. She was a schoolteacher who loved her students as if they were her own. Our home always felt warm, welcoming. She had a talent for decorating subtle seasonal touches that made the place feel alive. There was always a candle flickering somewhere, and the scent of dinner would greet me the moment I stepped inside. We'd been married for over 20 years. I truly believed we were solid. A team. Not passionate in the way young love often is, but steady, familiar. The kind of love that felt safe. But I've learned that some endings don't come in a storm. Sometimes they arrive like a whisper. Small things unraveling. Quiet changes so subtle you almost convince yourself they're nothing. It started with her phone. She used to leave it on the coffee table or the kitchen counter without a second thought. Then suddenly it was always tucked away. Face down. Locked. Her trips to the gym started running late. 20-30 minutes, sometimes more. She'd smile and blame traffic. I wanted to believe her. Because the truth would mean everything I knew was a lie. And that's a weight you don't carry until you absolutely have to. I never thought I'd be the man who said, "My wife cheated on me." But that's who I became. It wasn't just a fling. What I uncovered ran deeper than I ever expected. And it all started on a Tuesday. Nothing special. No anniversary. No birthday. Just a day I left work early, flowers in hand, thinking I'd surprise her. Her car was in the driveway, but the house was empty. Her gym bag, untouched by the door. And on the kitchen counter, a phone I'd never seen before. It wasn't hers, at least not one I knew of. Messages kept lighting up the screen, silent but insistent. The contact name read, Matt, Work HR. I knew in that moment, before I even read the messages, that everything was about to change. But I didn't confront her. Not right away. I couldn't. I needed more than a gut feeling. I needed the truth, the full, unfiltered truth. So I waited. I watched. I became quiet in ways I'd never been before. I started noting receipts, tracking her movements, piecing together patterns like a man trying to solve a puzzle that had his life as the prize. Then came the night I followed her. She left our house dressed nicely, not unusual for a dinner out. I stayed a few minutes behind, kept my distance. She didn't go to a friend's place, or any restaurant we'd ever visited together. Instead, she walked into a place across town and met a man. Younger than me. Tall. Confident. He hugged her like someone who'd done it many times before. And then he kissed her. Right there on the sidewalk, like he owned her heart. I watched from inside my car. My hands were trembling. My mouth had gone dry. And all I could think was, asterisk, this is my life. This is my wife. And this is how it ends. Asterisk. Still I said nothing. She came home late, like always, with soft excuses and tired smiles. But behind that mask of patience I was moving. I met with a lawyer. I secured my finances. I opened separate accounts. Slowly, methodically, I was disentangling myself from the lie I'd been living. When I was ready, I asked her one question. Just one. Who is Matt from HR? The blood drained from her face. She froze like time had stopped. And in that stillness, everything crumbled. She tried to explain, tried to gather words into something resembling a reason. I heard the same recycled lines. Asterisk, you were always busy. I felt alone. It meant nothing. Asterisk, I've read those lines before in online forums, in novels, in movies. But this wasn't a story on a screen. This was my reality. This was my heart breaking. She wanted forgiveness. She begged for it. Promised it was over. But I'd already seen what I needed to. Infidelity doesn't just happen. It's built choice by choice, lie by lie, moment by moment. And while I was never perfect, I was faithful. I was hers. But she hadn't been mine. I left 2 weeks later. People often ask if I regret it. walking away from 2 decades of marriage. My answer is simple. You can fix a broken pipe, but you can't live in a house rotted from within. The foundation was gone. Staying would have meant living beside someone who betrayed me when it mattered most. And I couldn't do that. I wouldn't. But walking away didn't mean I left the pain behind. Betrayal leaves a wound unlike any other. It doesn't just sting, it disorients. It makes you question your memories, your judgment, your very sense of reality. I remember lying awake at night, replaying conversations, wondering when exactly it all started to fall apart. I sought help, therapy, a support group. And slowly, piece by piece, I started to rebuild. It wasn't easy. There were days I didn't recognize myself. But there was something liberating in the process too. In shedding the version of my life I thought I had for the one I could now shape on my own. 3 years later I met Claire. A widow. Strong. Kind. Grounded. She had a quiet strength that reminded me what real partnership could feel like. We took it slow. I was cautious. Guarded. But she was patient. And somewhere along the way, her warmth began to thaw the parts of me I thought would stay frozen forever. She reminded me that love, the kind built on trust and patience, can still exist, even after devastation. She reminded me that I wasn't broken, just bent for a while. 6 months ago, I got a letter in the mail. Melissa's handwriting. A long note filled with apologies and regret. She was alone. Divorced again. She wrote that losing me had shown her what true loss felt like. That she finally understood the weight of what she'd thrown away. I never replied. Not out of anger. Not even out of pride. But because I didn't need anything else from that chapter. Her words didn't undo the past. They didn't bring closure. My silence did. That was my final goodbye. I share this now for anyone who might be sitting in the wreckage of a life they thought was secure. If you're reading this, wondering whether healing is even possible, believe me, it is. You're stronger than the betrayal. Stronger than the heartbreak. And while it may feel like everything's falling apart, sometimes that collapse is the very thing that clears the path ahead. The love you lost wasn't the last one you'll ever know. The story doesn't end here. What comes next is yours.